Hey guys, I'm Beth, and you found yourself on my YouTube channel. This is the video portion of my blog, Here There Be Dragons, which will be found on WordPress, and I will leave the link to that down below. And today I am here to talk to you about plotting your novel. Now, I'm going to go ahead and confess to you right away that I don't typically plot my stories, like almost at all. I may write down a few ideas, jot down a couple of conversations I hear in my head that will eventually wind up in the story, but I do not typically do an outline or a plot line. I just kind of have an idea of what's going to happen and who's going to be in it and the first line, and I get started. That is what we call a pantser. I go by the seat of my pants. And I typically do that for about 90% of anything I do, because planning makes me anxious. It just gets in there and I think too much about it, and it just kind of does that, and it's very bad. I get cranky very easily. It's not good for anybody. But I have found a few questions to ask about plotting, and I'm gonna actually go ahead and make another confession that I started my novel before I really plotted. I did kind of think about who my characters were and a little bit about the storyline, but the idea came for me in the middle of October, and so I jotted out, like I normally do, random conversations, random ideas for characters, etc., but I never did a full-on outline. I found it a waste of my time, usually. With my other novels, I've written 4 young adult novels in a series, and I will link them down below if you want to check them out. It's the Stone Dragon Saga. You can find it on Amazon. And for all of those, I wrote very minimal things, and then about halfway through, if I get bogged down or I get a little bit of writer's block, I go back and kind of write out what I know about the characters and anything I might want to add later, and that's the most of an outline I've ever done. So this new story is the first story I'm doing in the adult genre, and it is kind of a magical realism, sci-fi, fantasy, modern day. I have no idea, obviously, but I am working on that. So I wrote the first couple of segments, and it's the first time I've ever written a story in random outbursts like this. I always start beginning, and it just goes through kind of in the correct timeline. I very rarely have anything come up that I think, oh, that's going to be later in the book. I just write it beginning to end. That's it. This time it's hopping back and forth, and so I went back and decided that it might help me if I found a little bit easier way for me to outline and just find out kind of more about where my story was going. And this is from writerswrite.com. It is the 6 questions to ask before writing. Who are the protagonist and the antagonist? So for me, that is a group of friends who have known each other, some of them their whole lives, some since college, and some just kind of found each other at work, through other friends, etc. But they've all come together and are almost a familial unit now. They are a little family. They are best friends. They do practically everything together. And then the antagonist is as of yet unknown. They are either a group of humans who have inherited kind of this goal to take over the world, or they are a group of kind of evil immortal spirits or demons. But whoever they are trying to bring about a pseudo-apocalyptic event that would allow the rise of their clan to power. So now that I have that, then I can go on to question number 2, which is, if you could only tell the story in 3 lines, what would those be? Basically a group of friends in their 20s or 30s. They begin having similar dreams, and discover that their dreams are in fact past life memories. They are being warned that something is happening, and so they're going to have to dig deep, hold on to their bond, figure out what's going on, and protect the world from a demon rule, basically. All right, so then number 3, what is your character's inciting moment, or the moment of change that causes the story to begin. A lot of people do this at the very beginning. They tell you, my world changed the day my dog died, or uh, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, which is then followed by a little bit of a description about why, and that's kind of the first inciting change. And then you learn later on a little bit more deeply everything that was happening. Some stories don't do that. Sometimes you don't find out to the middle or even closer to the end what the inciting moment was. Our inciting moment for this story, the first one, the basic one, is the dreams, and then later on, what caused them. Number 4 is, what are the 3 main surprises in your story? And surprises are plot twists, revelations, new characters randomly showing up, etc. I only have 2. The third one is refusing to reveal itself to me, so I'm going to get to be surprised too. But the first one is the realization that these dreams that everyone begins to admit to having are not just incredibly real, very random dreams, but they're connected. And not only are they connected, they are from their past lives, so that they have these memories and they know that they have lived several past lives together. And then the second one is going to be the discovery of what or who caused the dreams to emerge and what that means, not just for them, but for their families and their other friends, their city, their world, and what they need to do about it. So these events can obviously be changed as you write the story. You can add more. There can be smaller twists and turns. There doesn't just have to be 3 big twists in the middle somewhere and then you're done, or every third of the book gets a twist. You can change it up, and once you get into the story, you may decide to change the twists themselves, but this is a good way to start out kind of knowing where your story is trying to go. All right, now number 5, what are the subplots for this story? They are secondary characters, backstories, etc. And these will add more depth to the story, because if the story is just about a group of friends kind of running around getting Taco Bell and going to work, and then, oh, whoops, we have to fight this evil guy, it's not going to work on many levels. The audience is not going to care about the characters. The characters aren't going to care about the characters because, oh, we're just friends and we're eating tacos, whatever. So you need to have secondary characters. You need to have backstory. You need to have these little romances and things that show up to make your characters seem invested and to get your audience invested. Because if you don't have a fully developed story, fully developed characters, then you're not going to have the audience really invested into it. And there are actually a lot of books I know that are really popular that I just didn't connect to the characters because I felt they were not fully developed like they should be. And I'm not going to name names here because they are very, very popular and I don't want to start a fight, but a couple of things that have been turned into movies in the recent past. I like the movies, I like the books, but I feel like the characters were actually better portrayed in the movies because in the books they felt really flat to me. So you want to make sure you've got the backstory and the friendships and everything really fleshed out, even if all of that information does not make it into the finalized novel. Knowing all of that, it kind of gets pushed into all of the other parts, and then the readers will get a feel for it even if you don't have the full description there. And then finally, how do you currently see the story ending? Since this is kind of a good versus evil novel, I'm probably going to let good win, although by the end of November I may be in the mood to let demons rule the world for a little while. But I kind of doubt it. I'm more of a, there's gray areas, but let's let the good win and not let evil destroy our world kind of person. I don't know. I could change everything. There could be no demons. There could just be, I don't know, more tacos. I have no idea. I do know I'm going to include some romance. So that's one of my subplots. And that may be part of the ending as well. I do not know. And then this set of questions, I wrote down 13 questions in there from CherylReef.com, and I will link that down below as well. And some of the questions that are different on this one is, who is your audience? Why will they read or keep reading this book? What are main characters' flaws or weaknesses? What are the antagonist and protagonist? What are their flaws and weaknesses? What do they need? What do they desire? How can you show instead of tell the elements that are most important to the plot or a character? And those are just a couple of them. And there are also, I went on Pinterest and found huge lists of questions to ask your characters, do interviews with them, and I haven't done much of that yet, but it really helps for you to know each character's backstory. You interview them, even if you just do a short one. I've got like 50 questions to ask a character. Even if you just do your favorite top 5, that helps you really know them, which will help your audience really know them. So that is something to think about when you're writing your novel, whether you are a pantser or a strict outliner. These are things that will help you with your plot, with your characters, and hopefully to be able to complete a full manuscript, whether it be during a month, during 2 months, or during an entire year. Whenever it is that you have the time to write, hopefully this will help you. If you have any questions, comments, etc., leave me a comment and I will answer. Hope you guys have a wonderful night and keep writing.